take us through the feeling out process of who you're going to go with and how that's all shaping up in the quarterback room.
Sure. Well, I think, it's been brought up that we're trying to run the ball. We're trying to establish that as being a part of our identity. And I think going through the game here Saturday, we felt like we were going to play Austin no matter what. And when he got an opportunity, we felt like he took some of those opportunities and ran with them and did a really good job of making some good reads. And he's fast, he's quick, he gives us an elusive little element to our offense. And so we came back with him in the second half because we felt like he was really in a good groove and giving us an opportunity to really move the offense down the field. And I think that was kind of what the thought process was coming out of Saturday. And then after going back and just kind of looking at the film and evaluating, we want to make sure that everybody's operating up to the standard of being able to be productive. And I think that's what it comes back to is, are you able to help the offense produce and move the ball, keep the chains moving, help us score points? And, it's as simple as that, but it's not an easy job to do. And so we're going to continue to challenge Aiden and make sure that he understands that, and he does. He's a very mature kid, and, I think his skill set is different than Austin's, and so we're going to continue to make sure that they're both just trying to fight to be their very best to see, who's able to put our offense in a good spot. Fortunately, the bye week comes at a pretty decent time. We've got an opportunity this week to just try to figure that out. I don't know that we can make a call on what next week looks like versus Saginaw Valley yet, but I think both those guys are going to be challenged this week to see what they can do and see what that looks like. And they both are adequate in a lot of ways. They're very different, and yet we've got to just figure out who's going to be the best for our offense and see what that is going to be like.
I was kind of bummed that your Alma was able to march right downfield on 2 of the first 3 drives.
You and me
sure
both.
That probably bummed you out too a bit.
No.
What were they do? I'm sure they don't do anything that you didn't expect, but they were kind of going to downfield like
Yeah.
you didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I don't think it was we didn't know what to expect. We fully expected them to go fast, which they did. It's a really difficult thing to stop guys. If you can't get off the field on third down and they're going fast tempo like that, it's a really difficult concept. The defense starts to wear down, and that's really the whole element behind a fast, high tempo offense. And we just couldn't get off the field on those couple of drives right there. And sometimes you got to feel it in real time to be able to understand it, and you can simulate that in practice all you want, but we had to kind of go through it in the game to figure that out, and I think we could have done better at being able to execute some plays during those drives to get us off the field, no doubt about it. But credit to Alma. I mean, they executed what they do well and kept their tempo high and really pushed the pace on us, and I think our defense kind of struggled with it on those 2 drives, as you indicated.
We talked about your defense, and run defense has been really good this year.
Yeah, fantastic.
What are you guys trying to do to get better in the pass defense, and especially it seems like those 3rd and longs seem to have bit us a couple times.
For sure. No, I think we have to be better in not giving up explosive pass plays. I think that's been an issue. I think you have a combination of things that are hurting us right now with we're not getting very good pressure on the quarterback up front. We're young and we are mistake prone in the secondary. I think there's some guys that are out of position at times and just not executing what they need to do from a discipline standpoint. And we still got to continue to address the athleticism back there too. I don't think that we're where we need to be in order to be greatly athletic with our back 7, our back 4, and we got to continue to get better at that. This year, obviously we have the personnel who we have, but we got to find ways to keep challenging those guys and to get them better and to try to actually play quicker on the field and respond quicker and react quicker, and we'll keep doing that. I mean, this week is a week that we are extremely focused on fundamentals and making sure that the things we can control eyes, hands, feet, understanding the call and knowing how it relates to your technique. I mean, all those things are going to be addressed, and it's been a primary focus of how we're going to attack the week.
I know injuries start building up this time of year.
Mhm.
You said bye week comes at a good time. One guy we haven't seen has been Sam Pfeiffer. What's his
Right.
situation as we go forward?
Yeah, I'd like to say day to day, but I don't. I mean, it's obviously been more than that, and you know, I was hoping that he would be back by now. I don't know when he'll be back, and you know, let's see what this week looks like, and hopefully he can start working in the mix soon.
Gotta be pleased about your returns.
Yeah.
Your kickoff return, punt returns have
Yeah.
been doing well.
Yeah, thank you. Mike Love he's back there. He has really improved in that area. He's become reliable to be able to actually field the ball, secure the ball pretty well, and he's fearless, right? Like you saw in one of those punt returns, he stood right in there, and you know, guys were barreling down right on him, and he didn't fair catch it. And I'm actually happy to see him do that. You know, I'm very much in favor of that because he was able to get a good return out of it. And so he can be elusive and dynamic, you know, when he needs to be. And I think what we're doing is we're holding up enough and blocking well enough to be able to try to give him a little seam increase here and there. And so I would agree with you, Mike. We need to keep that part going because Special Forces actually, they played well on Saturday, well enough in order for the offense and defense. If you know we would have had a little more production on those two sides of the ball, we would have been in a good situation because I thought the special teams did a great job for us.
At this point, and it's granted it's still somewhat early in the season, changing people, first string, second string,
Yeah.
Is it an audition every week in many cases, or have you kind of settled down a little bit?
I mean, I think a lot of it is settled down, and yet this week, during the bye week, we said we're gonna just scrub ourselves here. We're gonna make sure that we are cleaning everything as thoroughly as we can to examine every option and opportunity for guys. And there's some personnel decisions that are being made right now still. And you know, you have the roster you have, but that doesn't mean that you can't shift some guys around, challenge some guys that might be getting a little complacent, or you know, maybe you thought that they should have been the starter in fall camp, but really have realized that out in the 4 games that we played, maybe they're not producing like they need to. And you know, I think guys need opportunities to show themselves here, even at this point in the season. And we're going to continue to do that as a staff to make sure that we're giving guys fair opportunities to see, you know, who the best guys are on the field, and that's really ultimately what we need to have.
I didn't memorize the number, but your rushing game is still doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Nico had a good day. Johnny
Yeah.
had a good game.
Yeah.
That continues to be what looks like a strength.
Yep, I agree. Running the ball has been good, and I think it's been improving still, right? And I think we can even get it better. We look back at there's probably 4 to 7 plays that we just are disgusted with because we just made a wrong read here or there, or just had a little blunder here or there, and have a holding call for a 40-yard gain right there that I think really took away the momentum on that drive. And you gotta be able to learn and grow through that stuff. We can't have that stuff if we want to be more productive and successful. And you know, that's one of those plays in the game that you wish was different, and it could have really helped us out. You know, offensively, we need to establish the run. We need to continue to get better in that. And I agree with you. We've been pleased with the progress and the growth that we've seen in that area.
I think, Coach, bye week this week, a chance to work on those fundamentals and get healthy.
Mhm.
What's the message to the team headed into conference play, knowing these games are a little bit more heightened?
Sure. I think I try to stay away from that message, actually, and just to make sure that they know that, hey, like, the reality of it is that, you know, the GLIAC is hard, and, you know, it's a very tough concept week in and week out, and yet it still goes back to making sure that we're able to correct the things that we need to correct. And as long as we can still see our mistakes and improve those and get better at those, and we're seeing progress in those areas, I really think that going into GLIAC play, like, people are probably going to still overlook us and take us lightly on occasion. And if we can continue to climb and grow in our morale and keep our enthusiasm high, keep our competitive spirit high, and approach each of these games in the GLIAC with a strong competitive spirit behind us, I think we can catch some people, by surprise. And I still think we can play well and win some games here in the conference. And so there's no way that I'm giving up any type of hope, based on how difficult the schedule is or anything like that. I mean, there's so many teams and examples out there where if you bring your best on Saturday, anything can happen. And I think that's just the approach that we're going to take every single week.
Let's talk about the obvious. 2 big wins for your team, 3 in a row now. First road trip of the year, I guess. Talk about the continuity of your ladies coming off the road.
Yeah.
And big wins, especially with Parkside and going down to Hammond, Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely. So came off of, preseason play, our tournaments, before conference started, feeling really good. We faced some tough opponents. We took some losses, but I think all in all, we got what we needed out of our, pre-conference play. I think we learned a lot as a team through that, and it really prepared us nicely going into conference play. Now, that being said, I still don't think we're like where we're gonna get to. I have high hopes that at the end of the season we're gonna be playing much better ball than we currently are. But happy with how we showed up. Came in to Parkside, swept them. It was good. And again, I left that game not even feeling like we played our best ball yet, which is, in my opinion, a good feeling to have this early in the season. And then kind of got into a dogfight with Purdue Northwest. Went to 5, but they're just a really scrappy team. They're a tough team to play. Their gym, for whatever reason, is always tough. I've played in it many times myself, and it's a tough team to play in a tough gym. So really happy with our team for getting that win and really kind of getting gritty with it at the end, taking care of the 5th set. And yeah, I just think our season so far, growth is like a really big part of it. And that's exciting because I think through the rest of the season, we're going to continue to see that growth from our girls.
I don't believe a lot in carryover, but when you get that win over St. Cloud State, did
Yes.
that help
Huge.
put you carryover?
Undoubtedly. Yep. So, again, played some tough teams in general, took some losses, but then ending, going into conference play with a win against St. Cloud, number 8 team, I believe, in the country at the time. Huge confidence boost, obviously. And if, we tell our girls, and we've told our girls all season, like, we do believe that this group can play with anyone and compete with any team. But that was just like obvious evidence for our girls to see that and understand that. And I think it helped a ton going into our conference play. So that was awesome.
Well, I might as well talk about Megan. We've talked about
Yeah.
her before, but obviously a real good week.
Yeah, a really good week from Megan. Yeah, it's been awesome. It was funny. She earned Defensive Player of the Week, and we were like flipping back at the box scores. We're like, oh, we're surprised she didn't get Offensive Player of the Week. But then you very quickly realize, which we knew she did really well blocking wise as well. But yeah, like compared to other people in the conference, she had a phenomenal blocking weekend. So that was awesome to see. And honestly, I think that she wouldn't mind me sharing this. I was a former middle myself. She would say that blocking has been something she struggles with in her career, or she has struggled with throughout her career. And so to see that as a strength this last weekend was just awesome. And I think it really is a testament to the hard work that she's put in, and really just buying into like all of the coaching and all of those things. And so she's worked really hard for that. And it was fun to see her get that, because normally her offense is her really strong, the strong part of her game. So that was a nice little thing for her, which was awesome.
And then, Coach, we look at this week back at home, Friday
Yeah.
and Saturday.
Yeah.
Expectations for that, you took care of business on the road, but now you're coming home, and you got to take care of business at home. Expectations for those games.
Yeah. I think we're really excited coming into, we've got 3 weekends in a row at home before we head to the crossover. So that's really exciting. I think this whole, the next 3 weeks, we play teams, like we'll have a good opportunity to be in a really good position. Obviously, we have to show up every night and take care of business. And that starts with Davenport on Friday. So we have Davenport, their record isn't great, but they have played some tough teams in the preseason tournaments. And I think they're just like young. They've got a new, really young coach and whole coaching staff. They're playing a lot of freshmen. I think that they'll come really motivated because of that, and definitely ready. I have a feeling, I'm sure in their gym they're ready to work hard and put in the work to get better. And so you can't take anyone for granted. That's for sure. And then, Saturday we have Ferris, which we all know Ferris is just like a really solidified program in our conference. So we're going to have to show up and play hard against them. And I think if we do that, we compete well with them. I think we'll match up well with them as long as we, play NMU volleyball to the best of our abilities. I think we'll be good. And that's kind of fun. That night is alumni night. So any alumni out there, it'd be great to see you in the stands and kind of hang out a little bit and see familiar faces. That would be awesome.
Kind of recap us first on the weekend.
Yeah, we were awful. That's pretty much the recap.
You're done?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, one shot in the first half, one corner kick. We did the exact opposite of our game plan. About 6 or 7 guys had their off nights, not 1 or 2. There was just absolutely no energy from us. We got scored exactly on the way that they score, with the way we talked about 10 minutes in. So it kind of gives you a clue of where they were in the first half. Tremendous response in the second half, as always. Ale Shilanga, another fantastic goal. We're right back in, and I thought at that point, with the way we started and it looked like the normal team, that we were going to win the game, and their keeper came up with some big saves, and they had some counter opportunities. It was a good college game, and, in the 80th minute, we got to learn our lesson and know that, hey, a 1-1 tie after really playing awful, that's a good point, and more importantly, it steals the 2 points back from St. Cloud. So it was a really awful goal to concede, set piece, set into the box from their 40-yard line. In between 5 guys, 1 guy wins the header, so clearly we can win it. There's 3 guys standing. The cover guy is not in position, falls right to his feet in an awkward angle, kicks it back to the same person that won it, and 2-1, we lost the game. So I think we, in a sense, we needed that. We need a wake-up call, because you can't give 45 minutes away to the opposition and expect to win games, especially in the road, especially in the GLIAC. So that's where we stand. But I really am proud of their response to the loss. It was a quiet bus for 7 hours, like it should be. So that tells me that they felt it, and they've processed it. They've worked very hard the last couple of days to review their own individual tape and mistakes. And we're on to Tuesday. We're all ready to train and move on to Friday. So that's where we're at.
Is it a helpless feeling knowing that you can't change the game first 45 minutes? Like, you want to.
Yeah,
You want to put.
we sure did.
How helpless is that? Helpless feeling.
Well, it's not that helpless in the sense that we have a lot of guys off the bench that are quality and really give a spark. One of them is Davian Gums. He's scored the tying goal against Lewis and gave us a huge spark in both the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. And I think when we took him out of the game because he was dead from running so hard, that became a loss again because he just is such a spark. So there are things we can do as coaches in soccer if you have the tools on the bench. If you don't, then it is tough to make adjustments. We're spoiled right now. I have a lot of guys that could start on any number of Division II teams that simply we can't start them all. So I think we have a lot of depth, and that's going to really become a handy tool on these 2 game weekends here coming up. But sometimes it is helpless when you see that your top guys are all struggling with their energy and taking poor touches and just really doing the things opposite of what we've done for the last 6 weeks. Between the preseason games and the other 4 games. Hadn't played like that. So there is a sense of helplessness, but at the same time, really good spark from guys off the bench that got us back in that game. And at the end of the day, I thought we were going to win it. We got the better chance in the second half. It was 1-1, and it was almost a smash and grab. And, we learned the hard lesson that you got to play a 90-minute game and not fall asleep on a set piece on the road. I mean, that's basic elementary football. And, maybe we had to learn it the hard way, and that's what we did. So, but yeah, I think these guys have really responded well, and I'm proud of their response so far. So, but the real measure is going to be Friday.
And then, Coach, back at home, speaking on that, they're coming in. You guys are comfortable playing at home. What do you expect from them? What do you guys have to do on Friday? Well,
Purdue's a top team. They're the defending champion. They were in the NCAA tournament last year. They returned a lot of those guys, so a ton of experience. They just came off a 2-2 draw at Parkside, who we play on Sunday. So there's going to be, both games, obviously, but, Purdue is very, very talented going forward. They score goals. They attack quickly. There's really not a weakness, to be honest. So regardless of how good we are, we have to be at the top of our game, and the most important part for us is just bringing energy. If we don't bring energy that you guys have all noticed and have commented on, then our side play doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. We don't have the athleticism, the size, the speed, the strength to match up with teams like Purdue and the rest of the GLIAC if our guys don't bring it. So that it really comes down to that. Purdue's very good. Parkside's very good. They're both champions. They both won a trophy last year, and it's the opening home GLIAC weekend. So we've got to be at the top of our game, and we can't drop the ball, from an energy standpoint for 1 minute, or we're gonna be punished. So that's really the reality.
Now that you have depth, it may not be perfect depth, but you have
For sure.
depth now.
Yep.
What makes a starter or what makes a substitute?
Yeah, I think there's a lot into that, right? From the technical piece, the way we want to play, we may start in a more technical approach because we want to keep a ball. But there's some guys that are just better off the bench because, when a team is just played for 30 minutes and they're a little bit tired. I mean, it's hard. Even at the end of the first half, like that 45-minute stretch of soccer is tiring. So the last 15 of a half, if you've got a spark plug like Davian Gums, who's faster, stronger, and just more ambitious pressing than most other players, it just causes all sorts of havoc. And then he can whip a ball in the box, and if you still got quality guys in the box, those are chances that are created late in half. So I think those type of players that give an energy spark in a defensive manner, that really it's a defensive move that becomes offensive. It becomes more of an attack-minded approach. So we kind of have different looks. If you can compare it to hockey, right? We've got different lines, and we really do. We have a smaller, more technical line. We have a more robust, athletic, taller, like pressing line. We've got different guys in the back. We've got different guys in midfield. So I think it just depends on the matchup. And so I don't want to give away what we're doing on Friday, obviously. But I think it varies depending on the matchups. But we know that if someone's struggling on the field, we can make a change. And guys did that on Saturday despite the result. And they know they were awful. They don't need to be told that in a press conference, right? So, but I think in terms of the guys that are off the bench, it's a lot of different characters. It's quality, athletic ability, and really at the end of the day, heart. The guys that have heart that come off the bench, they are making the biggest impact right now, and they're the sixth man. They're coming out first. So, yeah.
Coach, are the cards that you guys have been taking, yellow cards, is it a
They're
concern
awful.
for you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they're all bad. None of them have been worthy of a tackle that's saving a goal. Right, 2 of them have been simulation by Tommaso. He knows better. One of them has been by dissent. None of them have been worthy of, okay, that needs to be a yellow. So we have to be smarter there because the rules are when you get 5, you sit. And so right now we're in some trouble with a couple guys, and I think they were a little bit more reserved because of it. And that's why early in the season you don't pick up silly ones. So now we're in that trouble. But we've talked about depth. So if it does happen, we're okay. We'll be all right. But good question.
Played well for about 88 or so minutes, and rats.
Yeah, no, I mean, credit, to our team. I rewatching it, I think they battled extremely hard. They were, rewatching the goal that they scored too. It's just one of those things where, I think Sally makes a good save, and it literally deflects off the Grand Valley player into the back of our own net. So, credit to Grand Valley to getting the job done and whatnot. But I do think that we will hold on to that one for a little bit and try to work on some of the things that we could have done slightly a little bit better. But again, like you mentioned, 88 minutes of solid, really good soccer. And so I think we look at those 88 minutes as a real positive instead of focusing on the other 2 minutes as a negative, and continue to turn the page. And that's what we were able to do against Davenport.
Happy with that. Happy with turning the page after, that loss to Grand Valley. The response in the next match to come out and kind of, assert yourself for 90 minutes and take the win pretty handily.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to have that type of win. It was great to go pretty deep in the bench too. I think we executed on a lot of things, especially with having that much energy and effort, considering the type of match that we played on Friday. To be able to come out there and be that dominant was really great to see. So hoping that we can continue to build on that this weekend and find some more results on the road. Obviously the road are very difficult, and so and it's been a grind. You know what I mean? I mean, we're 6 games in, 4 have been on the road, 4 have been against national tournament teams. So I think we've tested ourselves very well the first third of the year, and I think we're really looking forward to playing our best soccer within the next few weeks. And I think if we continue on the same track we are now, we're going to reach that goal.
No.
Obviously, no one's happy with the loss, but you mentioned the words tournament tested. How happy are you with the way your team has responded in some of these games, especially the Grand Valley? I know it's a loss, but how happy are you with the response and still get a chance to go out there against these teams?
Yeah, and I think, in previous years I'd be a little bit happier, but I think the group was really disappointed in it. You know what I mean? They were the ones that were like, man, we could have maybe got a result out of this one. They kind of felt like there were moments where, maybe they could have finished a chance. So I feel like for the team, they left a little on the table. And that just speaks testaments to who they are as competitors, who they are as the leadership in the locker room. So that one definitely stung. But I agree that they're ready and hungry for the next mission. And when you look at the body of work that we've put together, I do get a sense that there's a lot of pride with that. I mean, the test, like you speak to, it's not been easy. Especially going on the road that much and be able to fight and to find ways to get results and to get points on the road is extremely hard. And then you put in the factor that some of these teams 4 of them went to the national tournament last year, you know what I mean, and did really, really well. So I think we'll take that as a huge positive, and hopefully we can continue to get some results and to work really hard for each other and to find ways to win 2 matches in a weekend. Because I think that's the other thing that we're adjusting to is some teams are now adjusting the way they play against us. And so when you play a team like GVSU and they're not gonna change things, they're gonna play the game, they're gonna play soccer, and then you go against different opponents, not necessarily Davenport, but other teams that are gonna sit and maybe get really compact and make it difficult for us. We gotta learn how to adjust to that, and I think it's taken us a little bit of time, but we're starting to get there.
And then, Coach, when we talk about Friday at Roosevelt, so on the road, a team new to the GLIAC, what's that like? Taking them on, a team that's entering the GLIAC. Things like
Yeah,
that.
I mean a lot of unknown. Looking at the scout, they've scored quite a bit of goals. I think this last weekend, I think it was a high scoring game. Trying to prepare the team to deal with some of their best players, new environment. Everything is new, right? And trying to figure out what our lay of the land is. Everywhere in the GLIAC, we know where the locker room is. We know what we're going to do before, and now everything is kind of going in there blind. It's kind of fun, a little exciting, to have that little bit of some difference in there. And so, obviously, we recruit a lot from the Chicagoland area too. So I think it's going to be great for some of the players to be able to play closer to some friends and family that are local to Roosevelt there.
React? Good results? Higher,
Yeah.
lower than you expected, or?
It was a solid result, little lower, and but actually, we had a few things happen during the race. It was really hot, and actually our number 5 runner, Skylar, we were like in 5th place as a team, but she stopped with 600 meters to go and threw up,
Oh,
and like 20 people passed her. She got up and ran in, but that would have been enough to have us up in 5th place. So overall, solid. I'm really happy with how definitely, our number 2, 3, 4, well, and Maddie, of course, ran well. Some of the freshmen, first experience on a tough course for a 6K, but they handled it well. And the heat was a big factor. We had another person two other people have some problems with the heat. We also were missing one of our top 3 runners. She was at her sister's wedding. So that kind of played into it too, which would move us up. So solid for what we had and the kind of the issues we had. But looking forward, we continue to move up once we can put it all together without all the different things going on. Of course, that's part of the game.
hot and humid or just hot?
Hot and humid, not as humid as it's been, but hot. Luckily, there was a little bit of a breeze, so warm. We ran at 12:15 Minnesota time, so kind of middle of the day. It got even worse for the high school kids. Ran later, but right from the beginning, it was a warm day. But luckily, not as warm as it had been.
Now, in terms of comparing against the teams you usually run against, I mean, Tech and some of the other ones in the region, were you happy with the result that way, or?
Yeah, because we were only 3 points, I think, behind Tech, and that was with our issues. So, I think definitely we'll be quite a ways ahead of them once we have everybody healthy and ready to or not have the issues we had. And then the other one was we beat Parkside. But yeah, there's the top 3 teams from at that race are actually ranked like in the top 17 in the country. So there's it's a solid group that we were against. Hopefully we keep moving up close to that because that's the goal is to get to the national championships and be in the top. I think this year we have the opportunity to do that, to be at the national championships, and then next year even farther up. We have a couple. So our number 2, 3, and 4 runners are young. They're sophomore, junior, and of course Maddie's only a junior. So really happy with that group. That kind of middle group that is our sophomores and juniors are really making some big steps up from last year.
I didn't look at the schedule. What's up next?
We're heading to Kenosha, Wisconsin. So for the Lucia and Rosa invite. So should be UW Parkside again, and then usually there's some D1 schools too, and some other D2s. I think Davenport will be there, so we'll get a look at more of the conference. It's always a solid race. It's a great course too. It's actually a cross country course that's built just for cross country. There's very few of them in the country. So a great opportunity to race, and it's a little faster than Minnesota is a really slow, tough course. Even though it's a golf course, it's a very hilly course. So this will give us a kind of a good shot to see a little bit faster course. Also, it's the Minnesota one was really crowded. There were 24 teams, super packed. This will be and actually we had a kid fall at the beginning, and so actually 2 of them fell. So it's a little challenging, and then you get so packed in, it's hard to kind of make your way through the crowd. But they did a good job. But this will be a real opportunity to work as, in our kind of groups, run as a team, which makes a difference. That's one thing we're really working on. And at GRIAC, it worked pretty well, but it was a little bit challenging because you got mixed in so much with so many people. So to find their teammates, they kind of got, scrambled in, and they worked to get together at some point, but kind of it was challenging. So this one will really give us a chance because this will be a similar field size to like both conference and regionals.